It started with a look that lasted just a little too long. Not the kind of look you brush off. Not the kind you forget. The kind that makes everyone in the room shift uncomfortably, because they feel it too. And in episode 5 by 2 of 90 Day, The Single Life, that single look may have quietly detonated multiple relationships at once. Because while viewers thought they were watching messy dating drama, what actually unfolded was something far more calculated, far more emotional, and honestly, a little unsettling. Pedro wasn't just interested.
He was locked in, and the deeper fans dig, the more uncomfortable questions start surfacing. Before we dive in, if you're the kind of viewer who notices the small moments TLC hopes you miss, this is exactly where you belong. Quietly join the insiders who already keep up with every hidden detail, because this story gets messy fast. At first glance, everything seemed typical for the franchise. New singles, fresh starts, the usual hopeful energy that comes after public heartbreak. But longtime viewers know better. In this universe, nobody is ever really starting fresh. Old wounds travel with them. And in Pedro's case, those wounds may be driving everything we're seeing now. Pedro Jimeno entered this season carrying more baggage than most. After the explosive collapse of his marriage, fans watched him try to rebuild his image, calmer, more focused, supposedly ready for something real this time. But episode 2 quietly planted doubt. Because the moment Sophie walked into frame, his entire energy shifted. Not subtly, not gradually, immediately. Sophie Sierra wasn't even trying to command attention. That's what made the moment hit harder. She was simply being herself, relaxed, open, still navigating her own complicated emotional landscape. And yet Pedro's focus snapped toward her like a magnet. Viewers noticed. Fast. On TikTok, clips of his body language started circulating within hours of the episode airing. Slow motion edits, zoom-ins, side-by-side comparisons of how he interacts with different women. And the comments. Brutal. Why is he staring like that? This feels uncomfortable. He's doing way too much already. Over on X, longtime franchise watchers started connecting dots from Pedro's past relationships, pointing out patterns in how quickly he tends to emotionally latch on when he senses vulnerability. Reddit, of course, went even deeper. One thread that gained serious traction claimed his interest didn't feel romantic at all, but strategic. Users dissected his tone, his posture, even the timing of when he chose to approach Sophie on camera. Was it genuine attraction, or calculated screen time? TLC, naturally, kept things surface level. What aired looked flirtatious, maybe a little intense, sure, but still within reality TV norms. But what didn't make the main cut is what has fans spiraling. Multiple viewers pointed out that in extended background shots, the kind most people miss, Pedro appears to watch Sophie even when he's actively engaged in conversations with other people. Not once, repeatedly. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Meanwhile, Sophie herself is navigating emotional landmines of her own. She's not walking into this season carefree. She's carrying the weight of trust issues, public scrutiny, and the exhausting pressure that comes with dating under a microscope. Which is exactly why Pedro's intensity is raising eyebrows. Because viewers know how fragile these situations can become when someone is still healing. But if Pedro's storyline feels quietly tense, Colt's situation is full-blown chaotic. Colt Johnson has never exactly been the poster child for relationship stability. Fans have watched his romantic life implode in spectacular fashion more than once. Still, there was cautious optimism this season. Maybe he'd learned. Maybe this time would be different. That optimism didn't last long. Because the moment whispers started circulating about his behavior with Cortney Reardanz, the internet lit up. At first, it was subtle. A few suspicious moments in the episode. A slightly defensive tone. Some awkward pauses that didn't quite add up. Then came the social media breadcrumbs. Instagram activity, timing discrepancies, and one very questionable late-night appearance that fans immediately flagged. By the next morning, Reddit had already built a full timeline. And it didn't look good. Viewers began questioning whether Colt was truly committed, or quietly repeating the same destructive patterns that have followed him for years. What makes this situation especially messy is the emotional backdrop both of them are dealing with. Colt is still in recovery, physically and emotionally, after his very public health struggles. There's vulnerability there, real vulnerability, The kind that makes viewers want to root for someone to finally get their life together. But vulnerability doesn't erase behavior. And episode 2 drops multiple subtle moments that suggest something isn't lining up behind the scenes. Cortney, meanwhile, appears cautiously hopeful on camera. She's open, curious, willing to give the situation space to grow. Which is exactly why fans are getting nervous. Because the edit TLC gave us feels incomplete. And this is where the mid-episode twist starts to surface. Several eagle-eyed viewers noticed something production never directly addressed. During one key scene, Colt's phone lights up repeatedly off-camera while he's mid-conversation. The camera doesn't focus on it, but the glow is visible. More than once. Within hours of the episode airing, fans enhanced the footage. The timing, suspiciously aligned with moments Cortney steps away. Now, to be clear, TLC hasn't confirmed anything outright. But in the world of reality TV, patterns matter. And the pattern forming here has viewers deeply divided. Half the audience believes Colt is being unfairly scrutinized while trying to rebuild his life. The other half, they think history is repeating itself in real time. Quick pause. If you've been watching these tiny details too, you're not alone. The real story on this franchise is almost always happening in the background. Back on Pedro's side of the episode, the tension keeps building in quieter ways. Because Sophie isn't exactly reciprocating the same level of intensity. She's polite, friendly, but noticeably cautious. There's one moment, blink and you'll miss it, where her smile tightens just slightly when Pedro leans in closer during conversation. It's subtle, almost imperceptible, but fans caught it. And once social media got hold of that clip, the narrative shifted again. TikTok edits began framing the interaction less as mutual chemistry, and more as one-sided pressure. Even some longtime Pedro supporters started expressing concern in the comments. This feels different than his past relationships. She looks uncomfortable. Why is he pushing this fast again? What TLC presents as flirtation, the internet is increasingly reading as imbalance. And that imbalance becomes even more interesting when you consider what didn't make the episode. According to multiple viewers who attended early screening events, there was reportedly additional footage of Pedro discussing his dating strategy more openly, footage that never aired in the final cut. If true, that omission could completely reframe how audiences interpret his behavior this season. Because right now, the edit leaves just enough ambiguity to keep viewers arguing. Which, of course, keeps everyone watching. By the final stretch of the episode, both storylines reach a quiet boiling point. Pedro appears increasingly focused on staying within Sophie's orbit, finding small reasons to remain physically present in group settings. Colt, meanwhile, begins showing subtle signs of defensiveness whenever relationship topics come up, particularly when future commitment is mentioned. Neither moment explodes on screen. But the tension is unmistakable. And the internet has already chosen sides. YouTube comment sections are flooded with side-by-side comparisons of Pedro's current behavior versus earlier seasons. Some fans insist he's genuinely trying to open his heart again. Others aren't buying it at all. Over on Reddit, the Colt and Cortney situation has sparked full investigative threads, with users mapping timelines and cross-referencing social media activity down to the minute. Because in the 90-day universe, viewers don't just watch anymore. They investigate. And now we arrive at the biggest reveal fans are quietly circling, the one TLC only hinted at. Multiple insiders from fan communities have pointed out that both storylines share a common thread, emotional timing that feels just slightly off. Pedro moving intensely towards someone still visibly guarded. Colt navigating commitment conversations while unexplained distractions keep surfacing. Individually, each situation might seem like standard reality TV drama. Together, it paints a more complicated picture. One where healing may not be as complete as the show suggests. One where history might be repeating in slow motion. And one where the people most at risk might not fully see it yet. Which brings us to the question that's now dividing the fandom straight down the middle. Are we watching two men genuinely trying to rebuild their lives? Or are we witnessing the early warning signs of another emotional train wreck TLC hasn't fully revealed yet? Because if episode 2 proved anything, it's this. The calm moments are where the real story hides. And something about both of these situations feels like the calm before a very messy storm. So tell me honestly, are viewers overanalyzing Pedro and Colt, or are the red flags already waving? Either way, keep your eyes open. Because in this franchise, the biggest explosions never happen first. They build, quietly, and this season is just getting started.